Hello and welcome back for another Friday Love and Learn. It's Friday and I'm so excited that we're having the opportunity to chat today with Otis Pierce of ESU 7, Shara Johnson of ESU 2, and Jack Moles, NERCS's Executive Director. And so I'll just let everybody know that before we actually went live, there was a whole lot of fun banter behind the scenes. We did notice too that Blue Snowball Mike, really getting a nice plug here today. Snowball fight, baby. Today's Love and Learn is brought to you by Snowball. Yeah, just excited again for this. For those of you that maybe have not tuned in the past, we come together each week with folks, educators from across the state, and have a little bit of space here to just reflect and think about the things that we've loved about this past week, personally or professionally, and also share a little bit about some of the things that we've learned. And in education, it's no surprise that sometimes those are one and the same, but it's just informal conversation and great vibes. And we really appreciate when those that are checking us out live, whether that's through YouTube or Facebook. If you post comments, we can bring your comments in. So we would invite you to do that. And just want to start off by saying welcome to everybody and happy Friday. So with that being said, we'll start things off with our love and kind of go around the horn with that, starting with Otis. Otis, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thanks for having me on. It's the loves this week there are quite a few. Obviously, one kind of a personal one is with the vaccine, being able to see my parents again after a year and a half, which was awesome, and learning a lot of things from my dad while doing home improvement projects. Spending that time with an old STS shop teacher.
Hey, what's one thing you fixed?
What's that?
What's one thing you fixed?
We had a garage window that was starting to rot out, and we were thinking we were going to add our garage on to that side, and ended up not. So that project took us about a day and a half, and it was a non-standard size window. So we had to kind of build everything into that, and got it waterproofed before the weather this weekend. So hopefully that it doesn't start rotting again. And another one is kind of with the schools, is being able to get out into schools and do lots of different things. I just finished a pilot on some data dig for CTE with a school. And then Monday I got out and did 3 presentations with 4th through 8th graders on digital citizenship. So going out and talking to them. And I love going out and seeing some of the things that they don't realize, kind of thinking like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or giving them some other things to think about that they maybe not realized and didn't realize about some things that they're doing with social media, whether they're 13 or not 13 also. So those are kind of my loves for the week.
Awesome. And what, I don't know, that as you were working with those kiddos, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna just kind of pivot, I guess, from there. Shara, what was yours?
Okay, so I'm kind of the same. I have a professional and a personal. I'm going to start with professional. So for the Nebraska Canvas Consortium, I've been working this week with individual ESUs, trying to do some summer planning, trying to see how we can best support them. And again, I'm just grateful. I've been doing this for 5 years. And I just remember that first year not knowing anybody and just feeling like I didn't even know what I was doing. There were so many abbreviations and I was like, what the heck? And just being in those conversations this week and knowing everyone and having those relationships, built, and being able to see people from across, like Craig Hicks and Stephanie Bernthal and Jackie Edinge. I just enjoyed seeing everyone and being able to talk. We all miss being in person, but it was just nice to have those one-on-one conversations and really see how we could support one another. So I'm very grateful for my ESU partners, for sure. The other thing was, I've been married 22 years this week. So I love my husband. I'm going to start with that. And if he's watching this, or if anybody knows my husband, you do not say anything. But for my anniversary, he said, what do you want to do? And I said, the only thing I want is to go mattress shopping. And I've been asking for years. I have had a backache for years. Bless his heart, he is a snorer. And I have been asking for years. And what I loved was, we went to the Sleep Number store. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Sleep Number store, but we bought a smart bed. Now, the last time we were mattress shopping was probably 15 years ago. I mean, it's so different, but they have something called partner snore technology, where you push a button and it adjusts your partner's side of the bed so that they no longer snore. And it was like a gift from God. And so I'm super excited. We don't get it till April, and I do not get paid by Sleep Number. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. She mentioned the words, and I'm like, I don't even care what it costs. That's what we're buying. Whatever that is, that's what I want. So I was super excited. And my husband was super supportive because he's a farmer and it was a beautiful day. And he's like, okay, let's go mattress shopping. And it was just a fantastic day. So anyway, Sleep Number for the win. And by the way, it was just amazing. I'm a tech person, so just all the technology, and you laid down and they showed you your pressure points and they adjusted this mattress, and it was just amazing to me. So anyway, I am super in love with it, and I don't even have it yet, but those are my loves for this week.
I've got to look into one of those.
I was just like, the whole time for 2 hours, I was just like, what? This is amazing. And my husband, he was so impressed. He pretty much just said, whatever she wants. Yep. Okay, whatever she wants. It was just great. So I highly recommend you go if you've never been.
Just something, even just something that'll tilt you up so you can watch TV or read a little bit easier and not have the pillows in the back. Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Life-changing, I might say. Life-changing, maybe.
I'm really curious how this snore technology works. Like, what does it do to move a person to the non-snore position?
It's got an ejector seat in it.
Okay. That would be fantastic, but no. No, usually the ejector seat is ejecting me to the living room couch, and that is not happening anymore. But no, so this bed actually, it takes your heart rate every night. It tracks your sleep cycle. It tracks your most comfortable positions. It tracks when you go to bed, when you wake up, when you're most restless. It does all of that. And then when your partner's snoring, you press a button and it's preset, set it so that it's the perfect optimal whatever. And I even asked, I said, so what if he turns to his side? And they said, it adjusts it automatically. I don't even know. It's almost creepy, but I'm super excited about it. So we'll see. I'll report back and let you know.
Wow.
She obviously sold me. She's a really good salesperson.
It never fails that the Love and Learns, I learn so much from these conversations too. And you never know where it's coming from either. Jason Everett actually has a question for us regarding this. What does this smart bed do for a dog that likes to kick you in the back?
Or we have a cat that likes to come in and lay either right up by our head or curl up right here and try and get in under your chin or something as you're trying to sleep in the middle of the night.
It's just amazing. Technology
comes out and just
technology just amazes me. You just think about like when we were in high school till now, just amazing the ways it impacts our life every day. And I just am like, we talk about wellness, right? And self-care, and sleep is a big part of my self-care. And so I'm super excited about it. And I don't know about the dog thing, Jason. I think a nice bed by the side of your bed would be an appropriate solution.
Well, I have to look into the smart dog bed next. I don't know if that'll be a thing either, but well, thank you for sharing that, Jack. What was your love from this week?
One of the things I've been trying to do in my role is to go out and meet with boards of education, and so I've been going out each month and getting to a few board meetings, and this week I actually hit 4 of them: 3 on Monday night, 1 on Wednesday night. But just watching them at work, and because I've kind of missed that, I was in that role for 23 years of being a superintendent, and just the things I saw them working on. COVID's a big part of the discussion, but it's all the other stuff that people forget. We still got regular things going on that need to be addressed. But Monday night, my first one was at Aurora. And they just had district speech on Saturday. So they had 2 of their kids that qualified for district speech spoke ahead of me. I got 3rd place in public speaking on Monday night in Aurora. Those kids are just amazing watching that. And, I remember back to watch my kids when they were in speech and just how cool that was. Another one was at Johnson County Central on Wednesday night. They had their foreign exchange students there to introduce themselves and to the board and kind of tell about their lives and their families, where they're from. And I always liked bringing in foreign exchange students to my schools. I always thought that was really cool and a way to expand our horizons a little bit. So, yeah, those are things I really enjoyed. And then on the other side of things, on the personal side, was Monday. I did get my first COVID shot, and at Pinnacle Bank Arena, And evidently, if you're getting a shot, social distancing is not an issue because there were a gazillion people there. So it was good to be inside Pinnacle Bank again, I guess. I didn't get to see a game, but at least I got inside the doors. So those are kind of two of my big things this week.
Oh, that's it is just, it's so just encouraging to hear how grateful people are about being able to be around others again, whether that's in a board meeting or working with fourth graders, I notice, or your peers, as we're talking here as well. And yeah, I'm excited for that. That not only is it just a return to normal and what that familiarity with your rhythms like does for just uplifting your vibe, but that real deep appreciation for being able to connect with folks, I think is just can't be understated or overstated, I should say. So that said, my love from this week, I'm a former English teacher, and I am super, super nerdy about stories and like the message behind stories and the construction of stories. I'm odd in that I don't really like read 50 books over a summer. I might read like one or two, but I really like to just chew on it and break it apart and think about all the creative elements that went into it. And so naturally I'm teaching my kids this and we watch movies and I am like talking to them about this. And so they're always trying to like extract messages out. And so my son at 6 went to school this week, and his first grade teacher taught a book to them that he really appreciated, and he liked the message from it so much that he came home and he tears the whiteboard off of the front of our it's a little magnetized one, like pulls that down off of our refrigerator, and he's asking how to spell these words as he puts his little sentence, and he fashioned this message that he really resonated with him to the degree where he memorized it, and then came home and put it on the fridge, that the world needs who you were made to be. And that filled my bucket. I was like, that's it. Hard to top that as far as a love from the week, that he's loving reading. It's speaking to him. He's learning things that, I think he's, I'm gonna get choked up just talking about it, but like appreciating on a really deep and personal level from his educational experience. And yeah, who can't be excited about that?
Well, especially when you get deeper messages out of something that really resonate with the kids or even with us, when you see those deeper messages is something that just pushes you forward to do better too.
Oh, absolutely. And it sparked a good conversation, because my daughter came in and she's like, what are you writing? I don't even get it. What does that mean? And so then we started talking, and coincidentally then there's this movie, Raya, the Last Dragon, that's on Netflix, and it kind of costs a little bit to get that one because it's in addition to your subscription, or Disney Plus, I think, that has that. And so they twisted my arm hard to try to watch that. And I said, okay, but we're going to have a conversation first about the hero's journey, and we're going to break the movie down according to Campbell's outline.
Oh boy.
And we did, and we had so much fun, but I'm that nerdy. We go there. So anyway, I'm going to stop because I'm already on a roll. We're going to move on to the learn for this week. And so, again, something that we're all passionate about. It's hard to differentiate sometimes those loves from the learns. But Otis, what's something that you learned this week?
We're doing something here at the PD department at ESU 7. We're reading Elena Aguilar's Coaching for Equity book and doing a book study on it. And we're in chapter 4 right now. And there was just a piece of it that really stuck with me when I was reading it yesterday. She was talking about a gal named Dolly Chugh, Chugh, kind of where we stop. She proposes stop thinking of ourselves as good people and think of ourselves as good-ish people. So, and by good-ish, she means someone who is trying to be better, as opposed to somebody allowing themselves to think that they are always a good person, whatever it is, whether you're thinking equity, racial, you're good at father, mother, and I got to kind of thinking about that as, maybe I want to be a good father. Maybe I want to be a good-ish father, because I'm always wanting to be learning, because it's good that end where it's, hey, you're there and you're not getting any better, or are you always wanting to get better? It's kind of made me think about that. Not only be a goodish father, be a goodish husband, be a goodish PD developer. it just really stuck with me, something to learn. And it's kind of something that I'm just pondering on as well going forward.
Gosh, I like how you're transferring that to like a myriad of contexts and different parts of your identity, right? I mean, you can kind of be good-ish in a lot of different capacities.
Yeah, and you're always trying to learn and always trying to get better. We're seeing it a lot now with things that are happening, especially pro sports athletes and things like that going on, trying to get better and learn because there may be some of those unconscious biases that we may have that we don't know about. So as long as we're trying to learn and get better, I think that's the key too, no matter what it is. And this, this is learning and getting better. Everything we do is learning and is a learning process, especially if you look at younger kids. Everything they do is learning process, learning to walk, learning from that failure, learning from mess ups. How are you getting better each day?
Yeah, and that I like that you like reference that with small children too. I do think it's like baked into our humanity almost, right? Like that curiosity, and to the degree that you feed it and let that sort of thrive instead of wither is really important. So awesome mindset piece there. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Shara, what do you have?
I was just thinking about when you were saying that, Otis. One of my very favorite authors is Mel Robbins. And she said something, she sent out an email. Excuse me. I got a frog. She sent out an email yesterday randomly to the people that follow her. But the title was "This Moment is Preparing You for Something." And it kind of reminds me of that. Like we're always in that moment. And even though when it doesn't feel like we're learning something, like this week was kind of one of those for me. I didn't feel like I learned a whole lot. So when we're talking about this segment, but it's preparing me for something. All the experiences and all the encounters and all the things that I went through this week, even though it doesn't feel like maybe it was monumental, it's preparing me for something. And I needed that yesterday when she sent that, because I was feeling that this week, kind of like, am I making a difference, or am I, doing what I need to be doing? And just reminding myself that sometimes just being and just, that everyday kind of situations, something else is happening that we maybe not be aware of. But anyway, kind of connected to what you're talking about. But
yeah,
I was thinking about, there's a couple things this week, nothing, like I just said, nothing like extravagant that I learned. However, I am participating as a student in a course. I am becoming Canvas certified, which is ironic, but anyway, so I'm going through this certification process, and I'm in these courses, which are all asynchronous courses. And I was reminded of something as I was working through the content again last night and earlier this week, is how important, and I'm a big technology person, blended learning, Canvas, online LMS stuff, how important directions are, and how being so incredibly explicit in your directions are so important. And a lot of, the work that we do, and we're talking about having this online space or blended space, a lot of times people are just worried about getting their content there or getting things put up online or whatever. But it's so important to have explicit directions, and having it happen through the eyes of a student myself this week, just sitting there going, I have no idea what they're asking me to do. And I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent person. And I was just reminded as I'm working with my teachers that I have to remind them, okay, we need to think about this from the perspective of a student when you're building stuff, and really think of it through that lens. Because if your kids don't know what you're talking about, we're just creating barriers. And that's how I felt last night. I was really frustrated. In fact, I messaged my instructor and I just let him know. I said, I really don't know what you're wanting from me in this exercise. I said, I'm going to do my best, but please let me know if I need to redo something. So I just kind of felt inept. And it was just a good reminder for me to, again, be very explicit when we're working with students, whether that's in person or whether that's on an online format of some form. But really just hit me hard last night. I was really frustrated. And I was about 4 Diet Pepsis in. So I was like, I might have been procrastinating. I'm just going to say it. But yeah, so that just really hit me hard about that. But the other thing I was going to share too that I learned, and this was happenstance, I didn't even plan on learning it. There is a new Canvas integration for those of you that use Canvas with Canva.
Ooh.
I'm just going to leave that right there.
Yeah. Well, and you talking about the direction, Shara, I'm working on something for another ESU7 school next week, and it dealt with a lot of like Hattie's teacher clarity, and how the effect size on teacher clarity is so high. It's 1.3 if I remember right, or just over 1.3 for teacher clarity on effect size. So they're going to be clear in class, but how do you take that from the class and put it to an online and be as clear as possible? You almost have to be overly clear on what you're doing when you're doing something asynchronously or online, because they aren't there to ask questions to clarify pieces. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And we have so many kiddos that are quarantined, here and there and everywhere, it seems like right now. But also remembering, this is kind of my soapbox, but these online platforms are not going to go away. And so we need to make sure that as we're moving forward, that we're just really considering the student and putting their perspectives into play when we're building. Yeah, I just was so frustrated. Anyway, I need to get over it and move on. It's Friday.
Well, there are two things that brings to mind, and I'm not sure where I'm going to pursue this, how deep we need to get into this as a discussion. But I do think that there's kind of a middle ground there between, you certainly should be clear enough that I'm not going to get lost and not know what the expectation is. And I don't know where the fine line is between that and when I think sometimes we try to be so specific and make sure that every little detail is accounted for in the process that we're walking learners through, that almost, for lack of a better way of saying it, almost becomes so mind-numbingly boring that you space out because it's so mindless, right? And you have that moment as a teacher where you're like, how could they mess this up? This is the most straightforward, clear thing possible. But it's almost like you can turn the screws too tight with that a little bit sometimes too. And I think better to err on the side of being clear. But there is something to, I don't know. What do you think about that? As far as that balance?
I would agree. You can get to the point where you're listing out directions to almost a mind-numbing state. Right? I was also thinking about that when you're saying that too, is be multimodal. You can write directions, but why not use a video camera and talk to your kids and say, hey, here's what I really need you to do in this assignment. We're going to give you two things. Because really, this assignment involved 3 pieces of paper I was keeping track of and different, which is great. But a really quick screencast or just turning your Canvas camera on and just doing it in a video and maybe having that alongside written directions would have been fantastic. But just maybe appealing to other people's way that they learn best, because I'm better with video than I am with the written word. But anyway, no, I agree.
I also think sometimes in directions too, yes, you want to be clear. I agree. You would completely want to be clear, but you also want to leave some things open for interpretation when you're doing a project for kids. Mm-hmm. As an example, my last year in the classroom, we just finished a chapter on conic sections. And I was going to say, all right, we're going to build parabolas and then measure the heat outside at the focal point. You have a 2 foot by 2 foot square. That's as big as it can be. You can only make it out of cardboard, tape, supporting things, and aluminum foil. Go. Those are the only directions I gave to them. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, what do I do with this? I don't know. None of them were exactly the same. And obviously my afternoon class had a little bit hotter temperature than my morning class, but I think we had it 500-600 degrees at the focal point just using aluminum foil and sun with the way that they created their parabolic pieces out of cardboard. So it was fun. I gave them about a week to do it, but sometimes also clear minimal directions to allow for that creativity.
For sure.
Kids is good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on your purpose for the activity. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where I arrived in the midst of all that too.
Yeah. In this case, they wanted me to really do A, B, C, D, F, H, I, J, K.
Double Z.
Yep.
Gosh, well, and so Jason is with you on that idea of taking a class yourself. Yeah, writing is definitely can be a humbling experience for sure. And he was also, kind of with that too, trying to find that balance. And as we pivot to Jack here, actually, Jen McNally has a question for you, Jack, beyond your learn, and that is, where's your virtual background? We're in StreamYard today, but usually
I usually have a different background every time, so
they're always awesome too. You always have a personal story or a connection. It's rarely just something you randomly found.
They've always been places I've been, so
yeah, which is super cool. So Jack, what was your learn from this week?
This is a little bit different view of it. It wasn't as much learn as it was reinforced. We have a spring conference that we have in March every year in Kearney, And I started hearing from members back earlier in the calendar year saying, Guy, I hope you're going to go live. We got to have something live. And, and I was, because we canceled it last year, actually canceled it 2 or 3 times. And so I was unsure whether we could do it. I talked to the Holiday Inn in Kearney, and they said, you know what, we've had a couple big conferences already. We can do it. We've got protocols. And so I went to my executive committee and said, what do you think? And he said, absolutely. And so we put it out that we're going live, and the membership came back and said, thank you. Somebody's finally doing something live. And so it just reinforced to me what I already knew this, but it reinforced to me that people want to be back together again and learning from each other. And so I'm really excited that we're going to provide that opportunity, but I'm going to have that opportunity too, to be around all my friends and people that I've seen a lot. And actually, speaking of Jen's going to be one of our 2 featured speakers at the conference. And actually, Andrew's going to be a presenter in a breakout too. So on our the NERCS and ESU remote learning project we did in the fall, that I know, Otis, you were involved in that. Shara, were you involved? I can't remember. I think
she was as well. Shara did quite a bit with the Canvas.
That's right.
Content that's showcased there.
So and that project is just something I'm just really, really proud of. Andrew, we talked earlier, you said about collaboration. That's what it is. People putting together their talents and their desire to make something better. And I'm really proud of that project because of what everybody did together.
I would agree with you on the face-to-face, Jack, because those virtual conferences, sometimes some of the better sessions are the ones that don't actually happen. They're the ones where you meet in the hall.
Exactly.
And I'm going to kind of give a shout out to Brandon Molwinkle down at Milford and just administrator days. He has his little carpet square, kind of a little carpet square to put, talking on the carpet in between sessions is sometimes, or even afterwards at other establishments, are some of the better conversations that you have during a conference time. Absolutely. And where some of that learning happens more and diving deeper into some things that you heard at sessions too. I miss that. I miss that part of it as well.
I can't tell you how many times in my career that I was headed to a breakout session, got sidetracked talking to somebody, probably learned more there than I would have gone to the breakout session.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And really, when you go back to education, I feel like it's all about relationships. I mean, there's a lot of it about relationships. And I just even was talking about when I was talking with my ESU people, a lot of that is just seeing people and building those relationships. When you said you went live, I actually got goosebumps because it's like the thought of having everybody back together again is just, I don't know. PDO, I love PDO. I like seeing everybody at PDO. That's probably one of my highlights. Or if you're, at different conventions in Kearney, just getting that time to talk and visit and catch up. So that's super exciting. Almost, I don't want to say normal, but makes me hopeful.
Yeah.
Well, the light at the end of the tunnel is bigger.
Right?
Yeah. It's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, Andrew, I'd say about some things that I have learned, but I'm not going to go into detail on them. They're a little bit darker, but I'm a huge reader of history. And I've read a ton about World War II. And I never really had dove too deep into Adolf Hitler himself. And I'm reading a 2-volume biography of Hitler that's very long but very, very well written, and just learning things about him and all the things that were taking place that I never knew. So learning some causes of why some things happened. But yeah, that's a little bit darker going into that.
Well, but there's so many avenues. I think back to Shara's point from earlier about there's so many different modes, and so whether you're reading a book or you're learning about something in a digital form, there's and the relationship aspect too. I mean, there's just so many different ways to pick up ideas, and I think that's been embodied in our responses across our conversation here. I do want to bring in that Jen is very appreciative of your backgrounds and stories, and she's Gonna look into getting one of the microphones that we have here, obviously. So again, this episode brought to you by Snowball Microphones. But my learn this week, I'm pretty excited about this. So ISTE partnered with General Motors to put together this artificial intelligence exploration program that's in its third year, and you have to apply and get accepted as a team, and the teams are fairly small. And I saw the application not too long ago, and so I reached out to kind of TLT leadership, and then to Lori Bessecker, because she's working with the emerging technology group of TLT, and I was like, hey, I might just throw our name in. What do you think? Would you like to be a part of that? And so we did, and we were kind of an unconventional team, I think, because a lot of it is districts, and kind of the support specific to one district, not a statewide, collaboration. And we got it. We're in. And so we did module 1 this week and started to learn a little bit more about artificial intelligence in education. Some creepy stuff. Some things that kind of blew my mind a little bit. I learned too that a Roomba is considered AI. I didn't really realize that. I'm talking about the vacuum cleaners. Yeah. Apparently, yeah. So I was like, hey, there's my fun tidbit maybe. But it's going to be an interesting. It's like kind of an 8-week, just about a half hour a week that we'll spend picking up some new knowledge in that space, and are optimistic. We've been talking today that maybe we can make some connections. We might be able to bring in some speakers that we meet around that, or present some of our learning. So it's just going to be really different. I know nothing about it. So excited to learn in that space.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So is my mattress AI? That's the question.
As you were talking, I started kind of doing that little evaluation thing, because it does respond.
It just automatically.
Yeah. Wow. Full circle here. So, we've got Lisa with. Oh my gosh!
I think if Lisa only has one, she's probably okay. It's when it gets to that 2 or 3, like some people have, that
running into each other around the living room. But well, that's it for this week's Friday Love and Learn. I want to say thank you so much to all of our guests that are on here, and to everybody that's tuning in live. This is just such a great reflection time, and just a joy to look forward to at the end of each and every week. And so thanks for reaching out, and we'll hope to see you for our upcoming live shows. I do want to say very quickly, we're going to have another Monday Motivation coming up here at 9:30 a.m. on Monday. So make sure that you check that out with Braden Foreman Black of UNL. Looking forward to that conversation, and we'll be back next Friday. So until then, St. Patrick's Day version next week. Let's go. All right, we'll see you next time.